Hey guys, Desolate Magic here. We've got some feedback for Wizards of the Coast coming out of one of the high-level players at MagicCon Chicago. Take a guess if it was good or bad. Honestly, if it was exceptional, I would cover it. I've been telling people this. If you've been on my channel long enough, when WOTC does something cool or something cool happens in the Magic community or a cool product comes out, I cover it positively because I think it's cool. If something horrible happens, a bad decision, a bad direction the game is going, a bad price, a bad product, a bad card, a bad ban announcement, I cover that. So if you're wondering why my coverage seems overwhelmingly negative in the last 3 years, why could that be? Maybe you should ask the 75% of active customers that they just lost. Maybe they got the answer for you. Anyway, 90% of you on my channel know what's going on. So, all right, let's just jump into this. I kind of skimmed it, and I basically know that there was an issue with placement and noise. That's all I read. So you guys seem to love it when I do like an initial reaction. So let's do it. All right, so he wrote on Twitter, "Hello there, I'm Adam Washburn Moses. I recently competed in and placed 9th in the standard 75K in Chicago and was given this email to give feedback about the event." That's right, WOTC does solicit feedback after every event from the attendees so that they know what they did wrong. I just did another take where I said so that they know how to fix it. Clearly that's being a little generous. But anyway, he wrote, "I think my story is important and is a shared experience between many different players in the field who have not had the opportunity to come out and say it for themselves." Now, I think he's implying like literally the opportunity, but also like the bravery to do this, because WOTC has been known to get really petty and have backlash. It took about... Let's see, remember my channel is about 11 years old. I believe 1.5 years before somebody leaked/confirmed that I was on their blacklist. And I was pretty inoffensive and enthused about the game 1.5 years into my channel. Because RTR was hot, okay? Modern was still just a tedious, repetitive, just the tier 1 decks back then, you know. So, but I told it like it was, and that's why I got so popular, so, you know, just saying. But yeah, WOTC will blacklist you. They will allegedly rig tournaments so that people that they don't like won't win. Yeah, if they said that they're seeking anonymous feedback, but they emailed you and there's like an ID in the link, just saying. Anyway, so then he goes on to say, and I will absolutely say this is true, okay, so don't trip. "As is overrepresented in the Magic community, I have been diagnosed with autism, along with a bevy of other symptoms. This is often accompanied with sensory issues, as it is for me." Okay, let's break it down, because there's been a lot of bullshit lately about autism, and it pisses me off because, well, you could probably guess. 3 members of my direct and extended family are autistic, and I'm one of them. So for me, it's just, yeah, growing up was rough. Social skills didn't come naturally to me. I'm way unnaturally good at math pattern and memorization, that kind of stuff. But I at least understand how humans communicate. You know, that part of my brain isn't just completely switched off and disconnected. Then you've got like nonverbal autism, like way up on the spectrum. Their brain's buzzing just fine, but they don't really understand how this interaction thing happens and like communication, that kind of stuff. They just see cause and effect, and then they like hyper focus on processing that. So every time the internet's just like, haha, funny autistic person. Oh, you're acting slightly different. You must be autistic. Haha, autistic screeching. They don't have social skills. I don't get offended by that. I don't get offended by anything. I don't get offended by like using the R word. I think people just need to turn the sensitivity down and get a life. But at the same time, like, I mean, the way I would compare my social skills is if I really, really concentrate, you would not know that I'm any different than anyone else. It just doesn't quite come naturally because other things do. The way I describe it is most of you out there have absolutely zero art skills. But if I locked you in a room for 3 months, this literally in my head just sounds like something Mr. Beast would actually do, and said, you have to learn how to paint like this well, but teach yourself. Even if you had no natural ability to just look at something and paint it, like you don't have this great advantage where your brain just kind of clicks and you're good at it. But just because that's not you, if you really wanted to work on it and put an effort, you can get there. You are within the realm of forcing yourself to do that if you have the physical capability to do it. You could become a painter even though you don't have a natural advantage at it. You could just break it down analytically or just practice and brute force it until something kind of subconsciously works for you. However your brain works, you could teach yourself to paint something that looks realistic and good. Now, when I was younger, I hated being touched by anyone. I hated loud noises. I hated when there was like disruptions in patterns. But I was at least aware. Like I could tell when somebody thought I was doing something odd, I could read that on their face and at least respond to it if I consciously thought of it. Some days it'd be too tired to give a crap, and some days it'd be like, no, social acceptance, that probably is a good thing. Like I do feel that pressure. I should like behave and make this correction. And why are they thinking this? Put it together. And at the end of every day, if you just look back and think, what did I do today? What could I have done better? Why did this happen? And just do a little 5-minute review. You can get better from something like this, basically. I mean, you're never going to rewire your brain, but I just consider myself like a perpetual 24/7 actor. And, when we out with the boys and we get nerdy, we get weird, we playing some D&D, getting loud and quirky and geeky and weird, playing some MTG, going out catching some Pokemon, playing some laser tag, playing some paintball, getting rowdy, getting wacky. You just let it drop and you hang with people who don't give a crap. People kind of like you. And that's why the Magic community has been the most accepting right up until the angry liberals who want to divide everybody and point their finger at everyone and be perpetually angry started getting involved. That's a shame. That's a real shame because I know some people were basically forced out of the community because of that. Like, I don't know what you guys, but like 10 years ago, we didn't care who showed up. We don't care if you were a girl or if you're this age or that age. Like, we'd have 12-year-olds show up. We'd have 60-year-olds show up. We don't care. We'll talk with you. We're just happy you're here because you're another player, And if you're a little bit off and quirky, got some little social thing or some medical thing, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care what you look like. We don't care what you're dressed like. We just want to play some Magic and have fun and kick back and just chill, If we're all just going to take it down a notch and have a good time, then we're all going to have a good time. It's really simple. Now it's all, screw you, you're not diverse enough, you're actually secretly microaggression, this and that. We need more of this checkbox in our group, otherwise you're all racist. Just shut the hell up if that's you. Okay, just drop it. We get it. You're an angry, miserable, hateful person, and everywhere you go, you spread your poison and ruin everything. Okay, we get it. That's how you live your life, because probably you had a shitty upbringing, and you've been influenced by shitty teachers and shitty idols in your life. Well, take a chill pill, because it's like high-functioning autistic people want to go have a hobby for f***'s sake. Not ways back in this video, if you just said, oh shit, I went to one of your fan meetups and you didn't seem to have a problem with people being incredibly loud and touching you. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, this ain't medical advice, but exposure therapy. Heck, I used to have horrible, crippling anxiety when I was a teenager. Think I got that from my mom, unfortunately, but yeah. Got over that real quick. Just horrible social anxiety, just afraid of everything, afraid to even leave the house. And eventually I'm just like, this is bullshit. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not a damn victim. I'm not just wired this way. We're going to take it one step at a time. I'm going to go out to the shops. I'm going to go out with my friends. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to go out and do this. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to show up to this college class. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to confront this person. I'm going to, go to the job interview. And every single time you're exposed to it and nothing happens, your brain says, that's not as threatening as I thought it was. And it slowly marks it off as I don't have to worry about that. The way I always say it is my nephew, he was so adorable when he was like 2 years old. So they warned him that food is hot, but he didn't really know what hot meant. And so he put it in his mouth, burnt his mouth, spit it out. And then for the next 2 months, no matter what temperature the food was, no matter if they said it was hot or cold, he didn't care. Every single bite of food he took, he blew on it first. He could touch it with his hands, but as soon as he went up to his mouth, he just had that brain go, stop. Food might burn you. Food might harm you. Remember that time that food harmed you? That one time? That one time you touched the glowing red thing on the stove and burned your finger, and now you're afraid of glowing red things and stoves and anything that resembles a stove or is even red colored. It takes a lot more times for you to undo that. I don't remember what the average ratio is. There is an actual average number. Psychologists have nothing better to do in their lives. But I thought it was like for every one time a child is exposed to something threatening, damaging, harming, or painful, it takes, I think, like 82 times to be exposed to it again before they are completely cool with it again. So everybody, every mopey millennial and Gen Z are sitting around saying, I'm a victim. I have this disorder. I'm neurodivergent. That's just how I am, and I have to live my life. I'm so brave. Everybody on my Discord channel of whiny, mopey, depressed assholes is telling me I'm so brave and that I'm a victim and I'm so strong, and that makes me feel good. Also, once I give it a name, once I find out that it's a disorder that somebody made up and said that I have, well, now I can use that as a crutch and an excuse. I can live my whole life with that label. That just becomes my identity. Wow, that's so much easier. I don't have to take personal responsibility for any of my actions. I don't have to try to get better. It's a disorder. It's just how I am. Oh, this terrible thing happened to me as a kid, and now that's who I am, and I can't get better. You've got people on YouTube with 10 to 20 million views spouting off that bullshit, making sure that people all have a pity party together, and they drag themselves down like crabs in a bucket, and it pisses me off. So let me just tell you, if you knew how bad my not only genetic issues, not only my health besides that, not only my unbelievably abusive upbringing was, that I can come out and be this well-adjusted. I mean, I do like volunteer work on the side and stuff that I don't talk about. That's like very difficult. Okay. Like I'm not here to be like, oh, look at me, I'm so great. Like I don't talk about it. I don't care. You just do it because it's the right thing to do. Like there was this, I can't really say because you might be able to track me down then, but there was this event for people with disabilities. I drove an hour and a half to volunteer at it. Set stuff up, help them with PA, help them with the AV right there, just because I had one friend who went to that church, and I've helped at a couple of the events, and I'm just like, yeah, sign me up, let's do it. Like, what else am I going to do? Sit home and play video games? Like, yeah, I got work to do. Yeah, I got ongoing projects. Yeah, I could be making a video, making money, but like, if you saw the looks on those people's faces, like, there's reasons they have recurring volunteers. And the volunteers don't at the end of the day say, oh, that was so hard. Oh, this is the hardest thing I ever did. Oh, I can't believe I made it through this. No. Everything's worse in your mind until you get there, okay? Try it out. I could just be sitting around drinking, angry at everybody, barely able to hold down a job because I just blame everybody in my life, everybody in the world that got this chip on my shoulder because, oh, I didn't have a good starting point in life. It's unfair, and I'm just going to go through my life angry like a toddler, and I'm moody. Pick your ass up, bitch. You probably, according to my statistics, live in America. You're already winning at life, okay? You ain't living in some mud hut somewhere, so shut the fuck up. Oh no, I didn't get born into a rich family. I didn't get free college, so I'm just gonna give up and mope and be angry and blame white people. Shut up. Oh, I have a slight disability. I have this thing. I have that. Are you blind? Can you move? Can you walk? I haven't always been able to do that. I haven't been able to hear properly. I'd have a procedure done to my skull with no anesthetic because of my age and because of circumstances. That was fun. Oh, I have PTSD now and I'm afraid of everything. I'm just going to live my life that way. No, I'm going to get the over it. I'm going to man up. I'm going to put my big boy pants on. I'm going to exposure therapy. The first thing I did out of college was after, a really bad couple experiences in hospitals, I got a job offer in a hospital. I'm like, yeah, this will help me get over my issues. And it did. So I'm just here to push the other message. Like, this guy, Adam Washburn Moses, is not your average Twitter whiner just saying, oh, you need to cater to me and my disability in the whole world and everybody's against me. But he's just like, dude, people like me exist. We're in this community. Can y'all get your shit together? Like, that's the gist of his post. He's out there exposing himself, just saying, hey, like, just FYI, this is my experience. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to, just be angry and shaking my fist at everybody and making demands. It's just like, he's just politely saying this is a thing. He ends this post with thanks for the consideration. This guy is a legend and the type of person we need in the community. I don't know his background. I don't know his politics. I don't know anything. I just know he posted this. He's on my good list. You know what I mean? So what was his beef? Well, he says, as is overrepresented in the magic community, I've been diagnosed with autism along with a bevy of other symptoms. This is accompanied with sensory issues as it is for me. So what happens with autism, and actually my friend who had a stroke, same disorder, is they can't process large amounts of things at once because their brain focuses on so many things at once. It's like attention surplus disorder. You cannot just drown out the background noise and focus on the closest one who's talking to you. Literally, their brains cannot do that. The part of their brain that does that does not function correctly. It's that simple. Like I said, my friend had a stroke, and after that, he cannot handle like 3 or 4 loud people in one room. Guess what? He still gets out there and plays D&D every week. He's still nice to everybody he meets. He doesn't go around demanding everybody cater to him and everybody treat him like a princess and everybody tiptoe around him because he's such a victim. He just has fun and enjoys stuff and knows his limitations, tells people about a problem when it comes up, and that's it. 2 types of people, man. 2 types of people, I'm telling you. So I've actually heard people where they're like, oh, these softy millennial, everybody thinks they're autistic, which, yeah, and everybody thinks they can't, digest gluten. And yeah, a lot of people self-diagnose with shit that ain't even real because it's just an excuse and a crutch to be a victim. I get that. But when they're like, oh, you need a sensory room for autistic people so that they're overwhelmed. Oh, is it right next to the fainting room for the women folk? Okay, I work with a ton of disabled people in a special program. When I was at the college, I was tutoring people who were struggling with math and business accounting and just trying trying to get them through that so that they could go do like what they actually wanted to do. Like, fix cars, marketing, graphics design, whatever else was at the college, And I took it very seriously. I initially took it, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I obviously wasn't really much of a people person back then. But I'm like, I've been told I explain stuff pretty well. I break stuff down in a way that people understand, and I tend to think differently anyway. So if they think like I do, we're just going to be on the same page, And the teachers at that low budget ass college where you can get like, I think I got 2 degrees for like $8,000. It's just people they found on the street, pretty much. But as soon as people were like actually grateful and they like literally were like, you have done the best job out of anyone in the entire program. Like literally every single person passed. Every single student gave you perfect reviews. I'm like, well, yeah, because I took the time to explain it to them and their grades were perfectly. Isn't that my job? Is everybody else not doing the job? I didn't even understand that somebody couldn't do that. But we did have people with sensory issues. One of them was in one of my classes, and he had some severe social issues. I'm actually shocked that he was allowed to attend the college because it was quite severe. But like we worked around it, the whole class was just like, yeah, okay, everybody chill, he's just having an episode and whatever. Some people in the class did not see it that way. The overwhelming majority was very welcoming and very accommodating. But I work with people with all different disabilities, Tourette's and all that. I know that's hard when people are like, oh, that's so uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in a room with somebody with Tourette's. I currently work at a place with somebody with Tourette's, and he didn't say anything, but like I can tell that he was like a little taken aback that I had literally zero reaction from day 1 to week 1 to month 1. I was just like, oh yeah, he's got like a nervous disorder and got some tics. He's got like mild Tourette's and whatever. Like he's like the 5th person I've met with that. Like what? Okay, yeah. So there are people who are not faking it, and trust me, they are pissed off that other people are saying, oh, you need your own sensory room. You need to get those headphones off your autistic kid. He's probably not even really autistic. No, the kid's gonna go ballistic if he actually has sensory issues, probably autism, and is in a big loud crowd or a concert or something. No, try it. There are some overprotective moron parents who like to project and they're complete idiots and everyone's against them and their kid's all special and the snowflake and all that. But the overwhelming majority of them are not faking it. Now, the overwhelming majority of service dogs don't even start on that bullshit. But so I actually heard some comments about this exact story. People are like, oh, yeah, he's just boo-hoo, boo-hoo. No, come on. You're just ignorant. You're literally just ignorant. I know that's like a lefty talking point in saying, but sometimes it applies. Yeah, the rantier I get, the closer to home it's hitting. So for me, for anxiety and for some stuff like loud noises, I can have exposure therapy. I can get over it. I can train my brain to get over it. Not everybody can. It's a brain chemistry thing. It's a genetic thing. It's a neurological thing. There are physical limits to what you can and can't get over and get better from, okay? You can't just tough it out. Like, don't tell that to my friend who had a stroke and it damaged his brain and now he can't be in loud rooms. Like, oh, you just need to tough it out. It doesn't work that way. That's like me, like, dousing you with gasoline and setting you on fire and saying, you just need to tough it out. No, there's a limitation there. We've gone past it. We've gone past your abilities. Anyway, I think you get it. So what did this guy actually say? You probably, obviously, a lot of people heard about this news story. That's why I'm kind of dragging out and giving you my opinion first. But in case you didn't hear about it, okay, so he says, I get very overwhelmed with loud noises and refuse to attend large sporting events, concerts, and even crowded clubs. Though the typical hubbub in Magic tournaments is something I am at this point acquainted with. And yeah, it's like loud but civil. It's a hum. And it's hard to pick out stuff. It's not distinct. It's not people out of control. It's not wild screaming. It's like the opposite of a crowded casino. Let me just put it that way. Which actually, one of my autistic friends, we did bring him to a casino. He's fine. He purely has social issues. He's not have any sensory issues whatsoever. So he goes on to say, in rounds 4 through 7 of the 75K, which was, I believe, the total prize pool or whatever, so the name of the tournament, the event was positioned directly next to the center stage with many creator events, which included a large amount of screaming from hundreds of spectators. Let me just pause here. If you think he's exaggerating, go watch the Magic Fashion Show, currently sitting at 90% thumbs down, because my God, was it just, look how flamboyant I can be mixed with body acceptance, to put it lightly. Now, some of them look hot as hell, okay? You don't gotta dress skimpy to look hot as hell. I'm not gonna name names, even though I already did. Some of them came out and I'm like, that's cute as hell. Like that, I would date her. Sometimes you just gotta, have a girly looking get up, some sweats and some loose shit, and just a vaguely healthy looking body, and I'm in. I'm also 36. You ever heard of that lowered expectations thing on Mad TV? Anyway, but damn, some of them people need to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, especially if that Kool-Aid got more calories in it, you know what I mean? And some of them so flaming they almost set off the fire alarm. So like, just calm it down. Not every gay guy's like that, okay? But the hooting and hollering at that thing, it was basically a drag show. level of hooting and hollering. and super not for any other reason. So he literally just goes on to say, how this was allowed to transpire right next to a competitive event is both a significant oversight and irresponsible. See, he's just saying that's logistics. Like, you guys know, I know audio. I have worked at concerts, plays, music festivals. If it's a thing and you can plug a thing in, I probably did a thing with it and probably also built the stage. Event production is in my blood, okay? Friends and family, they all do it, and so do I. I have actually been PA and a magician's assistant because the other person didn't show up. So I was running sound while also being the Axeman for the water escape. It was friggin' awesome. If I even saw a paper map with the layout and said, you're going to put a magic tournament where people are trying to talk and concentrate and like talk about rules and say what their cards are doing and say what they're targeting right next to a giant PA system with music blasting, background music and events going on and people yelling for fashion shows, no, we're not going to do that. I wouldn't even have to show up and see it to say that's a problem. I could see it in 2 dimensions and tell you that's a problem. And remember, they hire professional people to lay these out. Actual, like, we put on events for a living. Like, that's what you hired us to do, people. And this is what they came up with. And some of the layouts and the even just the signs, the directions, the scheduling have been very questionable for last year's MagicCons, to put it lightly. So he says this was an oversight. It was irresponsible not just for neurodiverse people, but for any Magic player who seeks to play competitive events. Yeah, you do. Well, let me just throw this in there. People with very, very poor hearing. I can go out in public and pass, but you might have to speak up and might have to ask you to repeat some stuff. Okay, I have remember how I said the skull surgery? Yeah. Didn't go great. Anyway, I'm already going to have a little bit of an issue. This would piss me off. I would leave. I would leave and request a refund. That is bullshit. So he says, I was completely overwhelmed by the noise, and indeed 2 of my 3 losses were during this time, and considered dropping because of the noise. It was so permeating and disruptive to my well-being, but almost every player I spoke to said that this made it impossible for them to focus or concentrate during the event. Now remember, standard constructed. You need a PhD in what the is going on in 2024 with Magic to even track the passive delayed triggers and this boost, and there's this silent boost, but it's conditional, and then when I'm attacking, then there's actually another phase, but then I get double strike during it, but then there's like real counters, but then there's temporary counters, but then there's a boost, but then I flash this in, so that changes this, and like, oh my god, Magic used to be simple, and I have no problem with complex Magic, but this is on the upper bound of what I can track. It's right up there, like right now, obviously, like nobody argues with this, with Commander and Modern, what they used to be. Standard is now the new Commander and Modern on the complexity level. It's ridiculous. And then adding another full year of cards did not freaking help. So any random run-of-the-mill Magic player is still going to have problems, and anybody who already has problems with this kind of stuff is going to have more problems. You know, be it, like I said, hearing impairment, concentration issues, sensory issues. It's just, my God. And like you said, he's been to other things. He knows the quote, typical hubbub of Magic tournaments. It doesn't bother him. This bothered him because it was ridiculous. So he says, I hope to see some sort of statement about what transpired to cause this to be able to happen, as well as a guarantee that this is something that will not happen again, as I do hope to be able to attend Wizards of the Coast organized events again in the future. Remember, guys, he came in 9th regardless, and the prize pool was $75K. I don't know if that was the pool or the top prize, actually. It could have been higher. I don't even know. Yeah, if you place 9th through all this, you go into the next one thinking, I'm going to win, but my God, they better not do this again or I won't even show up. I am right there with him. I completely understand where he's coming from. So he just says, thanks for your consideration, Adam WM. Not, I'm going to threaten to sue you. I'm going to wreck you. I'm going to cancel you. You better change to exactly what I'm saying or else. Yep, I don't think he's a lefty. And if he is, he's got his head screwed on straight. Me. The whole world revolves around me. I want to do what I want, whatever I want. Damn the consequences. I'm going to ruin all my relationships. I'm going to eat whatever I want. And you better support my disgusting fat body. Everybody, everywhere, everything's about me. Welcome to the modern left. Well, this guy's just like, can we not? Can you guys fix this? How to be an adult 101. Ah, shit, I clicked on his profile. He has pronouns in it. Okay, he's a little bit lefty. Whatever, the left could use more smart people. So not only did WOTC know that it's an idiotic idea, or at least the production company should have known that it's an idiotic idea to put the stage where they did, they know what a comfortable volume level is. They know to probably rent a place with acoustic tiles. I'm just going to list off things that I know, because if I know it, they should know it at this point. They've been to enough. Every staff member at WOTC that's been there a while has been to like 30 tournaments of the same news. They know, don't put it in a concrete area with no acoustic dampening, I should say. Make sure the PA is quality enough that people can hear the announcements. Now that 20-year-old bullhorn crap with a trash mic, okay? If it is, bring in your own PA. Add that to the list. Real simple. Put it in the budget. Put the stage with the highest amplification facing away and as far away in a separate room, because people will walk, but make sure that you provide a map on the pamphlet so that people know where it is. Otherwise, make it so that they'll hear it, but it's not like across the street, in case it's raining. And if the venue don't suit what you want, find another venue. It's that simple. Redo the budget, redo the plan. There's certain things you cannot compromise on. And make sure that the quietest things and the least things are going on during the tournament, because people might want to watch it live, watch any kind of coverage they have if there was, or participate in it, obviously. Usually, interactive crowd stuff during the day, cool big headliner stuff at night. That is the universal rule of any event. What'd they do? Put a bunch of screaming crap and seminars right in people's faces, blasting right next to them in the middle of the day. And they know that there's a lot of people with a lot of disabilities in the Magic world. That just is the truth, okay? Because we're so accepting. We don't care. It's a dumb, geeky hobby. We could be doing something that society is like, oh, that's a little more acceptable, or we could just not give a shit. And if we don't give a shit, then we also don't give a shit who shows up. It's really obvious how the logic tracks on that one. So they know. Now remember, years and years and years ago, where they patted themselves on the back and paraded around how, oh my gosh, they let the first blind person play in a draft. Wow, here's what we did. We're so proud of ourselves. I'm like, okay, you're going a little far patting yourselves on the back, but they're the type of people where they won't do something unless you're going to clap for them, okay? So they're like, we were translating it for them, we're doing it in Braille or whatever they did, and we made it happen. Why? Because we care so much about people with disabilities that we put in all this effort, all this staff time, all this run around and on-the-fly changes and stuff just to make sure this one person felt accepted in the community and like they could compete. What do we got now at most, especially Star City game tournaments? Allegedly, which this wasn't, but still. No, I don't think the rules work that way because you're white. If you want to go call a higher level judge, but otherwise, because you're white and because you're straight, no, the rules don't work that way. I got 5 separate accounts of some trans judges pulling that shit on people. Multiple of them. They're just there to throw around what little power they got and ruin your day because they are hateful, very, very mentally deranged people who very much need a different kind of help than the internet and their community's giving them. And that is a fact. And fast forward, what do we get? Oh, a couple autistic people, probably more than just Adam. I mean, just statistically, show up to this tournament, show up to the event, and it's loud, it's terrible, it's chaos, and it's horrible, and they can't concentrate, and it's awful. They have a horrible time. You knew ahead of time, okay? It's not just, I'm sure at this concert we're not going to have an epileptic person. Nobody's stupid enough to show up with epilepsy when we know there's flashing lights. But I guess we'll put up a sign anyway for that one person who might be that dumb. According to my epileptic friend Jason, first of all, they could just cover one eye. Because it takes both eyes to have an epileptic seizure that's photosensitive. And secondly, yes, you probably are right. They know better than to go in an area like that. But this, you should have seen this coming a mile away. I'd almost assume 1 in 20 people is autistic at a Magic tournament. The level of numbers, patterns, and like stuff you got to memorize, ooh, that's suited. That's suited. It attracts a type, okay? So yeah, that WOTC really screwed this up. It's not like they were blindsided by this. It's not like this has never come up before. It's just lazy. I guarantee whatever staff member or contractor or venue or whatever staff was put in charge of this, they are some low effort, high turnover idiot who has no idea what they're doing, trying to sell off their stuff as if they know they were, what they were doing. It's just like Fire Festival, where they're like, what do you mean it doesn't just all come together? Well, this job will be easier than we think. We'll just work our way through and we'll just kind of wing it. I have met wedding planners like that who have been doing the job for about 3 months and they get totally overwhelmed. They have no idea what they're doing. And my God, I just sit back and watch a train wreck. They're just paying me for PA, man. I don't care. Ain't my wedding. But yes, in my many volunteer and paid jobs doing anything from live video to sound to light, pyrotechnics, hell, prop master, I have done everything in every type of scenario. We have met so many good people who know how to throw an event properly and some really bad people who think they do and they do not. They're just fronting like they do, and then it all shows up, and all of a sudden you've got 110 decibels facing straight at autistic people trying to talk to each other while communicating what card triggers are going off. Oopsies! That is event planning and AV 101. Holy shit. I would almost, like, if I was WOTC, I'd say this was such a disaster. You're the one who put it there. We are not just requesting a refund, we are not paying you the full amount, period. If you want the rest of it, instead of like waiting on a refund that'll never show up, if you want the rest of the money, come sue us for it. We've actually had people pull that on some friends of mine. We got the money. It was their own staff disrupting us. It was their own issues. It was their own logistics. Everything we did was perfect. If they would have listened to us, you know? And so we've had some ugly events. It just is what it is. But like at a certain point, I had somebody stiff me personally one time. Never talked to him again. Absolutely cut him off. They hired someone worse than me, and it was a train wreck from then on. They ended up actually going out of business, their entire company, and they got exactly what they deserved because they sabotaged the project, not me. And then they didn't like the way I treated some of their staff. Well, their staff was fucking up the event, so yep, that ain't gonna happen twice. Stay away from people like that, rich, stuck-up people. It was a doctor and his wife. God, stay away from those people. The only worst people I've ever worked with was on a fashion show. 2 competing fashion designers that kept telling us to change everything, but they couldn't really get together. They would just tell us to do this, undo it, do it, undo it, do it, undo it, do it, undo it. Eventually we just like, no, get together and talk to each other. And they found that very offensive. Some catty ass middle-aged females balking at each other and laying an egg on the day of is not what I need in my life. Okay. So anyway, before this just becomes the I hate production rant, I think you've got the evidence at this point that I have personal experience with both sides of this, that it was a complete and utter avoidable up. WOTC should be ashamed of themselves, and this is another massive black eye for them. I absolutely despise them for this. Leave a like if you like my takes and my backgrounds on some of this stuff. I'm going to do something more productive with my life, my taxes. I'll see you guys next time.